All right, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the globe you are on. Kenneth Price on Sunday, November 26th, with Marcy and Jody and more are going to show up as this hour goes on. This is our Sunday morning Zoom call for our ministry, psychiatricsobriety.com, and we have this Zoom call every Sunday because we want to support one another, because we're doing something that is very powerful and is dear to my heart and is very important. We're unbelieving our mental illness narratives, and in doing so, a lot of us have chosen to exit psychiatry and start to relinquish our pharmaceuticals. I relinquished all of my pharmaceuticals almost 7 years ago. It was the best decision I ever made, and it was a very hard decision. Listen, somebody doesn't emerge from something like that and not want to contribute. I have to contribute. It's the only way I can keep going through all of this. What is my testimony? It was 25 years on countless medications. At first, they helped, probably save me from suicide, but they're only for temporal use. And the conventional narrative was that if they torqued my brain chemistry, everything would be fine. That narrative is something I had to graduate from completely. I had to go in the complete opposite direction, and that is how this ministry was born. I became a Course in Miracles student. Basically, I was a spiritual seeker most of my life, saying there's got to be a better way out of this madness. And this blue book, flew out of the clouds and bashed me in the head. So I tried to put the book down, and then it grew legs and it started following me everywhere. So that's kind of what we do here. I've got Marcy laughing. We got to laugh. We come here, a lot of us are Course in Miracles students, okay? And we're using this blue book, channeled, by Jesus through Helen Schuckman, to get it straight. Basically, if you believe you're a human being, then you've got mental illness. All right, so that puts all 8 billion planetary residents in the mental illness category. So are we unique anymore? No. Do we? Anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. All right, so I throw in disclaimers every time because I don't want to have any sort of an identity like I'm a spiritual teacher. If I think I'm a spiritual teacher, I'm going to go straight back into my mental illness. Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. But basically, I don't want to create like any sort of an identity for myself. I don't want to be well known for anything. I don't want any of that. I want to serve and I want to extend. Okay, so humility is actually one of the precursors for emergence. And it's a hard one for me, so I've had to learn through the school of hard knocks. So we're not here to protest psychiatry. We're not here to tell anyone to get off their meds, and we don't know what's right for anyone else. We know what was right for us, and that's why we record these for an hour on YouTube. We have powerful conversations, and we have some very intimate disclosures, and that's how I got well, you guys. I basically threw my reputation out the window, and I just said, all right, everyone, I'm gonna air all my dirty laundry, and let's see what happens. But in doing so, Spirit started to jump in and clean that laundry for me. I'm talking miracle grace here, folks. In a nutshell, I was a hopeless case. I was ready to jump off a bridge. Now I've got a life of tremendous amount. I've got a great life today. Is it easy? Well, whose life is supposed to be easy? Is it worth getting up every morning and saying, yeah, this is worth it? Absolutely. Okay. So I just got a thumbs up on the. All right. So because it's a ministry, I start all these off with the healer's prayer, because whatever comes through us is not something not something Kenneth Price will ever take credit for. That's why Jesus always said, don't think I'm great. It's my Father. All right. So the healer's prayer goes like this. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing he or she goes there with us. And we will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. All right, I'll stop talking. Who wants to go first? How's your week, Jody? How's your week, Marcy? Dive right into the deep stuff, because that's what we're here for. I've got a call for noon tomorrow with one of my advisors down in Mexico, one of my spiritual advisors. I'm in a relationship, and boy, is stuff coming up. This stuff is, I am familiar with this stuff like the back of my hand. I have seen this countless times in every single relationship. Although now, guess what? I don't have to believe it. Okay? I'm not good enough for him. He's going to abandon me. He's only taken me on as charity. These voices, were dictating my life and were the reason I went on those pills so many years ago, just to try and silence them. And in the conventional narratives, oh, that's not true. Oh, just look at the no. I had to go deep down the rabbit hole of metaphysics to unwind. Basically, you know why it's working. And I told him this last night. I said, the moment I want something from you, I'm toast. I didn't learn that from the conventional narrative. No, I've got to make my lover God or Jesus. He's got to be my companion priority. See why it has to be a ministry? I didn't know this before. Get in a relationship with someone and can't you give me some love? I don't work that way. And this time I'm, what's going to come of this? I have no idea. But what I'm using it for is my mind training. This is what my teacher, David Hoffmeister, this is what I've learned. I spent all those years at all those, spiritual communities to get out here in the real world and put it to the test. All right, let's get into a relationship and see what happens. What are we going to use a relationship for? To get my needs met? No. Use it to bring, no, I'm getting balloons. I don't know how to turn that off. Use it to bring the darkness to the light. All these thoughts and all these beliefs were just simmering below the surface. And I have to bring them up, but I have to bring them up in a safe container. I have to look at them with Jay. I couldn't look at them before with Jay because I didn't have a relationship with him. So I would just, either I would run or I would sabotage or, so I get to break the pattern now. See, I love him because I have this opportunity to unwind even further inside of this container. Okay. Get my buttons pushed, yeah. I waited 56 years for this. I had a wise counselor in treatment, God, 16 or 17 years ago. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. Catastrophizing. I said, have any of your fears ever come true? I said, no. Same here. When I was listening to David Hoffmeister this morning, he made it very clear how to make relationships work. You don't want anything other than what you've got right now in this moment. No planning. Don't try and plan. Otherwise, it goes off into the ego land. And no, I cannot enter an ego. Well, who's to say? I mean, I will. But I got to be here now, present. I got to practice this. This is the struggle I have with all those spiritual communities. Is I was trying to practice this in spiritual communities, and it's got more and more angry. Supposed to practice it in a relationship. I was listening to David this morning, and he had a caller come in. I can't make any money. I'm all full of fear. I don't know how to feed my family. I can't get a job. Yeah, my story too. I had that trust fund when I was a young man. And I thought, well, I can have the trust fund and I can earn money. That way I can keep the trust fund and support myself. And Jay said, no. You got to use it all up, kiddo. You cannot rely on green paper strips and little round metal discs for any modicum of security. No security in that. So he didn't let me get a job until the reservoir was the tank was hitting empty, and I was getting the red light in the dashboard, the bank account dashboard. That's when he allowed me to start supporting myself. This is humbling for a 56-year-old man, but I told you all, I'm going to air all of it. Don't have, how do I put this better? I'm a functional man now. For someone who was on all those medications and had all those addictions, to be a functional man and contributing, and okay, so that's kind of the point. That's the reason I want to record these testimony. But you can probably just see it in my face. There's a lot of lines in my face, and what it took to get here was necessary in my story. Is it necessary for others? I'd hope they get it quicker than me. To play the role of an elder. Do what Jesus said from the get-go, and you'll be just fine. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. But for those of us who have had religious abuse, easier said than done, because the name, Jesus is going to, set off all sorts of, pain body, trauma, PTSD meltdowns. But that's what I get to hold the container for. I don't know. I took an outreach call this week, and the words weren't mine. I don't know where they came from. One of the difficult things that can come across my awareness now is, who I'm living with has money and I don't. It's plain and simple. He has lots, I have none. All right. Well, none, but not, compare it. I'm, earning money now finally. But what I learned through the Course in Miracles is what my purpose is here. I'm to be a passerby. Possessions are fine, but I've already had them in my script. Okay? And I'm done with them for now. What I have to keep in front is I'm here to, it's like Calico keeps telling us, and this is hard work. I'm here to watch the thoughts. It's very simple. Is it coming from the ego, or is it coming from spirit? What thoughts are true and what are not? When I couldn't separate the two, I didn't think I had a choice in mental illness land. Thank God for those pills. They saved my life until I could figure all this out. I've went on for almost 15 minutes. Someone's got to jump in. Marcy's taking notes. I can tell. It looks like you're writing.
I think it's kind of cool, Kenneth, that you mentioned that sometimes the name Jesus like triggers us because we've had past, religious training and whatnot. And through Jody's group this week, which is such a blessing, it was brought to my awareness that I still view Christ as a man, and the issues that I have with men is blocking my relationship with Christ. So I just thought it was really cool that you were saying some of us have been through, religious abuse or whatnot, and that we're bringing that forward. And so that's what I'm really looking at this week is how am I blocking that relationship? Because I view Christ as a man and I have issues with men in the dream. And how can I, release that? So I love it that you said that. And I love it that you said that being in a relationship is allowing you to have these experiences, inner experiences, that being in community wasn't able to provide for you. I think relationships just really bring it home.
I think if I had been straight, perhaps the community could have I could have taken the ball and run with it, but I'm not straight. I'm a 6 on the Kinsey scale. Need another man. Fine.
I'm not sure I follow that. So being in community and being gay wasn't compatible? I mean, I'm not seeing, is that?
I can't say black and white, but I can say for the real deep stuff. I mean, the deep stuff that's going to come up when I'm intimate with another, and I can't. I have to do it with another man. I don't understand. I don't want to understand, but this is just my experience. There's something that comes up inside of me at the very depth of my core. It's unworthiness. My father's mantra is, because of the money, my father's mantra was worth. The last name is Price. I've said this before, worth. And he said, if you have less money, you're worth less. If you have more money, you're worth more. But for some reason, there was this goes back to, they were signing documents before I even came out of my mother's womb. God bless you, Steve Price, but it was a beautiful story, because how many in this culture, this American culture, live according to that model? That my father wanted to take it, and run the ball with it, and he always told me never do a little bit of anything. Well, thanks, Dad, but good, yeah. Let's burn that model all the way to the ground. Most people in this world think you can compromise, do a little bit of Jesus and do a little bit of money. I can't. I have to rely on him 100%. I have to. Now, am I going to? I guess my meltdowns will be an indication of how well I'm doing. Come on, Jody, jump in. Where are you at? Just smile. That's fine. You don't have to say anything.
I'm listening.
Thank you. Well, thank you for listening too. We had another, mantra, the 12 steps. We call it HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Oh.
And when I get hungry, or lonely, or angry, or tired, I got to stop what I'm doing. Mostly tired. I think what I anchor more than anything else is what I said earlier. I've got to be a passerby. This is I've got to remember the temporal nature of this dream character and his identity. And the humbling experiences with all that medicine brought it home very clearly, to take a big giant eraser. Remember those cartoons where, they took an eraser and they just erased the character themselves? I've got to see, there have been some guests in this house, and they're all very highly influential people. And, it started bubbling up. And I said, all right, take a deep breath. And my responsibility is to see who they truly are under all these stories that we all have stories. Some people tell stories about their success. Some people tell stories about their failure. People tell stories about their abuse. I told stories about all of them. I guess more of my mind training is perfect. Perfect. Come and tell me your stories about your success so that I can feel what's coming up inside of me, which is another flag to, it's a canary in a coal mine. Danger, Will Robbins, danger. You're believing in yourself again. You're believing you're a Kenneth Stephen Price, born 4, 5, 6, 7, Social Security, blah, 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 blah. This deep shit. But I mean, if you want to emerge from mental illness, you're going to have to dive deep. That's what Bill Wilson said about the 12 steps. He made no bones. You walk into a 12-step meeting, 12 simple steps, but this ain't going to be easy. You have to live by divine providence from now on if you want to recover from addiction. Well, if you want to recover from mental illness, which, by the way, all 8 billion people have if they're disconnected. I'm not saying this because I'm a spiritual person. I'm saying this because by the grace of God, I'm still here at 56. And I'm graced. Like, I can do it right now. Thank God I can do it. I got a second chance, third, fourth. Fifth chance, sixth chance. Thank you. I have to go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was just going to say, we always have the opportunity to choose again. And it's so simple, but it's I think it kind of has to be like I don't even know how to express it. It's like I get so involved in my story that I forget that I can just stop and choose again. You said you had feelings of unworthiness coming up, and it's like, we can always choose again.
When I connected with Suzanne Sullivan earlier in the week, she did the same thing. All these teachers are saying the same thing. Take it back. It's not about the person you're with. It's not about the story that the person is telling, at the dinner table. Kenneth, you're disconnected. Get reconnected. So we talk about every time at this and how we get. And that's, if we've had, and this is why I'm not doing this under the blanket of the Living Miracles, nonprofit. I had to go outside of perfect. I don't think David wants us to go out and start whatever, is necessary for us. Because that community doesn't talk about trauma. And we had a whole Zoom call based on Gabor Mate. When this shit comes up, sometimes I can't choose. When this shit comes up, I mean, I don't know. Jody, maybe you can help me. It goes into I go into the fight or flight. Cortisol rushes to my brain. All right. What can I choose to do? I can choose to take a walk. I can choose to call someone. I can choose not to make any decisions at that moment. I can choose not to respond in that moment. Maybe later I'll be able to, Calico, I love her. I can't do what she's doing yet, because she watches every single thought and then she can unwind it and raise it all back. Give me a few more years. I'm watching her and I'm taking copious notes like you are, Marcy, every time I watch her. Because that's the escape hatch from this madness. One of the reasons I like Calico is she's right out there exposing all of it. I told her like 6 years ago when I first met her, I said, thank God you for your testimony. I was sick and tired of hearing all these, cheery, just choose Jesus, just choose Jesus. It wasn't working for me until I heard somebody who had, been a raving maniac at one time. Oh, you have my full attention. Now you have my attention. Tell me how you emerge from yours. It's a qualifier. So we had an AA. Qualify yourself first. Why should I believe a goddamn word you're saying? Okay. If I heard that, you were violent once, okay, I'll have an open mind now.
You said in the beginning of the call, Kenneth, that you decided to just air all your dirty laundry and just put it all out there. And, honestly, like when I really think about that, that's what absolutely drew me to you and to your ministry. Because I'm like, finally somebody drops the bullshit and is speaking something I can hear. Like, this is where I was, but it took a lot of courage for you to, do that. And so by doing that, you did what you just said, qualified yourself.
Thank you, Marcy, because while I was qualifying myself, I was still doing it. I was still going to the baths, and I was still acting out, but there was a crack that was letting in some light. See, it's we slowly, rung by rung, to emerge out of this. This is why one of the things about the 12-step model that doesn't work is the abstinence insistence. Now, maybe for someone who's got a chemical allergy to alcohol, maybe abstinence is an essential. But for most people, just stopping everything all at once and choosing spirituality isn't realistic. It's kind of like we had to slowly taper our meds. I'm under the belief that we need to slowly taper our addictions. I had to, at least.
Including our addiction to the ego thought system.
I'm glad you interjected that one. Yeah. Oh, by the way, don't be an ego anymore. maybe in about 3 or 4 more generations, but this species has a ways to go. I mean, we're Course in Miracles students. We know what is a reputation. It's believing that what you believe, it's the upside down perception from the ego, that their perception of me creates what's happening inside. No, what's happening inside creates my perception of them. How many of us grew up with that? What do the neighbors think? What was that cartoon? There was a cartoon in the early 70s. I don't remember. All I remember was the mother figure. It's interesting. It's interesting how spirit, fertilizes our subconscious with these TV shows, even when we're kids. The mother character in this cartoon was like, Henry, what will the neighbors think? It was hilarious. It was like her mantra whining. What will the neighbors think? That's how we subconsciously. I finally seen it clearly. As soon as the moment, I buy into that one fundamental belief that David Hoffmeister calls it cause effect. I'm off and rolling, and in life, just sudden, I'm out there playing whack-a-mole. Oh my God! No wonder I took all those pills. Whack-a-mole, my whole life. There's another one. There's another. I mean, finally, I've used the analogy of remember as kids we went to I don't know, did you ever have the playground, those they were like spinning tops, spinning? It was fun. You spin on and you get on, and then they spin, and you let go, and you get thrown off. I'm saying as a kid, stop the world, I want to get off. I did. I didn't land in I didn't land in a patch of cactus and get speared. I was caught. The whole world is a setup. Let's say in the Course in Miracles, everything is pre-planned for our own good. That's a bitter pill to swallow. But as soon as we can, gulp it down, it's actually the medicine. Because something dissolves inside of us. More of the persona, begins to melt away, and more of the light begins to come out. And we have a new source of power. I've called it in the Zoom call before. I call it free energy. It's called flow. And when I'm starting to know when I don't have it is when I like I tell Mark, I said, like yesterday, I said, I gotta go upstairs, take a nap. Gotta go upstairs, take a nap. I did. Collapsed down, and woke up an hour later. Oh, I'm back.
There's a way to get off that merry-go-round thing, but it's not at all what we think it is. It's like we learned that the merry-go-round thing isn't even there. So
that's the hard part about this, is because at there are different truths at different levels of consciousness or development, different truths at different levels. That's where I finally learned I had to forgive religions, because at that level that is true. At that level that story is helpful, Kenneth. It's helpful to have a sacrificial savior figure at some level for some people. So I need to just sit down and shut up. How can I love who's in front of me? What also helped is I'm living with a gay man who's older than me and lost just as many friends, if not more. And when I met him, he wasn't waving the victim flag. Once and for all, I had to put down that flag. Stop telling that story. I don't know why. When it came down to it, my biggest fear was love. That's what it was. For some crazy reason, I was holding on to that story. Here's what also came through. Are you familiar at all with? Remember that famous performer singer? His name was John Denver. All right. So I got the hit this week. Well, it's been going on for several weeks, but I got to work and I asked Spirit, what's on the agenda? And I heard John Denver. So I started listening to and John Denver's Greatest Hits. And a lot of his songs are love songs. But I had to listen real carefully. It wasn't a love song from a man to a woman. The love songs were from Jesus to us. Listen real carefully. Follow me where I go, what I do and who I know. Make a part of you to be a part of me. Follow me up and down, all the way and all around. Take my hand and I will follow you. I'd like to share my life with you and show you things I've seen, places that I'm going to, places where I've been, to have you there beside me. Told you I couldn't sing, but that is not from a man to a woman. Who's that from? Kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Jesus wants, he needs us. That's what I heard. It's the reason all those angels kept jumping in to keep, wouldn't let me jump off that bridge. He needs us. And he wants us. It's what I saw in that near-death experience. I couldn't do it most of my life. I had developed a shell to protect myself. And that was a very wise idea for the first 18 years. And the purpose of my life has been testing the waters. Is it safe to let down that shell? With other people, it's a crapshoot. With Jesus, you're going to bat 100 every time. Not the Jesus of Christianity. The Jesus who was introduced to me by David Hoffmeister from a book called The Course in Miracles. I had known him as a little boy. I don't know, about age 10 or 11, I could light up a room. But I couldn't stay there. I needed to get a taste of it, but then I had to go, get smacked one side of the head a few times and say, you're gonna have to crawl out of this hole to work these muscles, kiddo. You got this foundation, I've given it to you for the first 10 or 11 years. But now you're gonna have to put it to work. And I've had a guardian angel the whole time. And I've been able to get up from it's like Judy Garland had all those comebacks. But until I stopped taking credit for the comebacks, I was going to continue to fall. It's that simple.
Mm.
In a lot of David's teachings, he's the only one who can deliver the message that I can hear. Because he's basically saying, if he weren't light and happy and full of joy, I would have fucking run the other way, because he's basically saying it's all or nothing, folks. He does it while he's laughing and giggling. But for anybody else delivering that message, I'm running out the door. But the reason I keep going back to him is he's right. It is all or nothing. And since I've emerged from all those mental illnesses, I'm here to say it works. All you have to do is give everything you own to the poor and follow Jesus. Oh, okay. As if anything here is new. No, he's been fucking saying this for 2,000 years. If you don't want to give it all away, that's fine. Just spend all your money on insurance policies, psych meds. Just hold on. You'll go around. Fine. There is nothing going wrong if you want to go around. Nothing. It doesn't matter. It's just that, do you want to be happy, or do you want to be nauseous? I'm tired of being nauseous. I just want to be happy now. All right. It's incredibly simple, but this is simple. Staying on the merry-go-round is not. Because then you're trying to think your way out of it. How many of us have tried that? Or talked your way out of it. Let's have a discussion on metaphysics. Which is fine. That's important. You got to understand the metaphysics is out there, but eventually you got to throw the book out the window and just get into a relationship and pray your ass off.
Yeah.
I got these things. Come on, you guys. I've been talking for almost 40 minutes. No, I had a melt. Listen. I got up yesterday morning. I couldn't sleep. I don't sleep well at night. And I'm all. Do I? You see, that's a judgment. I don't sleep well. Well, according to whose standards? According to the world standards, you go down and lay down at 10 p.m. and you wake up at 5 a.m. World standards. No, I don't. I'm up and down, up and down. So my standards is that's what looks normal in my story. All right. So basically, I gotta get moving early. So I was at Home Depot at 6 a.m. and I got halfway to Home Depot. I looked at the thermometer on the car. It's 29 degrees. All the pipes in the house are gonna freeze. I left the basement window open. And I said to myself, good going, Ken. You haven't even gotten to Home Depot 6 a.m. You already had your first meltdown. Congratulations. Pray. I said, Kenneth, what do? You turn around and go? I said, no. Go to Home Depot, get what you need, because it's only going to be another 10 minutes, and pray the whole time. See, I still have it, you guys.
Yeah.
And the other one here is the relationship with Mark. I have thought many times, I know better. I've thought, do I take control? No. Do I say no? This is for my mind training, period. I'm to notice what is bringing up inside of me. The world is not going to agree with me. The world is going to say, we've got to start creating something. Nope, I'm not going there. Grandma Marsh would say, don't touch.
Nothing to do.
What's that?
Nothing to do, nothing to fix. Yeah.
Except for what I'm thinking and believing.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Really good distinction. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're not being asked to fix what we're thinking or believing.
Another nuance. Thank you, Jody.
It's tricky. The ego is tricky. We were talking about this with Calico yesterday. My ego wants to fix it. That's the whole game.
Calico's good at the refinement. Spent a lot of years wanting to share this with other people. Thank God Mark's not interested in this. I am not to talk about metaphysics around here. I'm to watch my mind.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, another one of the ego. Let's find a spiritual partner. Oh, that's a great idea. Keith Kavanaugh, see, he helped me out. He just started giggling. He said, my partner wants no interest in this. He's a what did Keith Kavanaugh say about his husband? He said he's a shameless Catholic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do this when I was younger, you guys. I had to partner with people who would agree with me.
Mm.
Mark's not disagreed with me, but he's looked at me pretty funny. Thank God he's looked at me. How kind of him not to correct me. He's a Presbyterian music minister, and that is a completely different. He has to plan, by the way. He has to plan. How arrogant of me to think that, no, he's got a beautiful script. I've got to love his script. Shit, I gotta love all the scripts there, you guys. I gotta love them all. Otherwise, I'm right back to where I have to take pills again. That's what's being called of us. It's Byron Katie. That's what she says. She says, dogs bark, cats meow. Course in Miracles is not trying to teach us how to herd cats. It won't work. I mean, this was, I'm doing holiday cards now. Thanksgiving was over on Thursday. I'm gonna jump on it, and one of the ones went to my first sponsor. I've talked about her countless times, Agnes, and I hope I got her address right. Back in 1989. Her vernacular was different because she was going out a little one day at a time, but it had a little parable about whirling dervishes. And what do you do about whirling dervishes? You let them whirl. That's the whole premise of Al-Anon. I don't need the Course in Miracles. If I would have listened to Agnes in 1989, she said, "What Al-Anon? You go in there, women who are married to alcoholics and the husbands are causing insanity, go to Al-Anon to fix their husbands." And then a very kind sponsor sits them down and looks them in the face and say, the problem's not your husband. Why sponsors do? The problem is you. You've got to love this man. And he is your teacher. It's a hard program, folks, because I don't know if you've ever been to an Al-Anon meeting. It's hard, but our stories are hard too. It's what the medicine told me. You're going to have to love it, kiddo. All of it. Say yes to it, Jody. That's what you and I have been doing. You got to say yes and allow it. That's the exit hatch out of this, and that's not going to be easy. And that's where I take these outreach calls. You know, people melting down, and yeah, let's join in the melt. Let's because when two or more are gathered. I don't know. I was a Harbor Freight, parking lot when I think one came in on Friday morning. I was trying to get a roto hammer for Black Friday sale, and I was dragging. Mark and I had a martini the night before, and I was just till that call came in, and Kenneth, the dream character Kenneth, left. She said, "Oh, thank you. You're helping me. Thank you." I said, "No, thank you." Because finally, the dream character Kenneth, slightly hungover, got to step aside, and whatever came out was just so beautiful. It's for me to hear come out of my mouth.
Would you call those a whirling dervish or something? So the whirling dervish was a blessing, really. I have some of those in my life right now.
We can try and arrange this life to make it comfortable. It never worked for me. We can try and arrange it with our likes and dislikes and preferences, but that didn't work for me either.
Yeah.
I had to want what I had in this moment. That's where all my hair went, you guys. Laugh about it now. It's funny now, but I don't know how to. How do you? You got to love that people don't. If someone's not getting it, you got to love that too. They're not supposed to get it.
You had to love what you had in the moment. Yeah.
And I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this recording because I need to be reminded of this. This is the reason I'm recording. Remind me. Kenneth, you said that. That's what Laverne does. I call Laverne and she goes, "Do you remember that thing you said 3 weeks ago?" "Oh, yeah, I forgot." "Yeah, well." Said it came out of your mouth. But we're frightened. This is what we're most frightened of. This is why I played small. I was frightened of this coming. I was more frightened of this than this is what frightened me the most. Of having to let out what I truly, letting out the truth. I don't know why I was more frightened of it. I don't know. Maybe the ego is Satan.
You said that you had unworthiness feelings. So maybe the fear was coming from that. Like if I, let all this out, I'm going to get judged. And it's scary to put it all out there like you have. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
We got to take risks. And the reason I highly invite that is the only way we're going to unbelieve in the ability to make mistakes. The reason we don't take risks is we're afraid that something could go wrong, which means we believe in that there could be a wrong. I was, according to the world standards, if you lose $1 million, something went wrong. so now there's the belief in loss and the belief in wrong. And if I had still had all that money, I wouldn't get all these miracles and be here glowing right now. I'm too busy trying to hold on to it. Well, the funny at the time, because those beliefs, I needed outside help with those beliefs. That's where my mental illness was. I kept trying to bring the darkness up and take it to another person. Well, that other person, could only be a conduit to get me back to Jay. That's where I got stuck. Thinking another person, and I had enough kind, some not so kind, but to point, we'll be your training wheels to get you back to Jay. But eventually it's got to, what's that one they say in the Bible? You take my yoke, you don't need the Bible, you need John Denver. Take my hand and I will follow you.
I loved John Denver. When I was a little girl, I'd be like walking home from kindergarten singing, Almost Heaven, and I just love the words, the message. It's always been like
a little bit of a plug for medicine, because John Denver was known for, he wrote Rocky Mountain High when he was on LSD.
I didn't know that.
And I've made no bones that I've had great success with entheogens in sacred ceremonies. So I have to plug that too. I haven't done entheogens, since the last ceremony was probably 2 years ago, because I'm done. I'm done for now. But great medicinal tools in my story.
I like what you said about taking the darkness to another person instead of taking it to Jay. And
it's not a black and white too, because I have to take it to other people when it's too severe. And if someone can hold the container, Jay's container, that's good. They see it's all got to be guided in that moment. How does it go, Rocky Mountain High? Anybody want to sing the lyrics? Now he walks in quiet solitude, the forest and the trees, seeking grace in every step he takes. Try to tear the mountains down to bring in a couple more people, more stars across the land. Now he walks in quiet solitude. Still finding them. And this is, I'm going back to the simplicity, folks. Maybe that's, what this ministry can offer is they kept saying to me, the 12 steps, keep it simple. All right. If I can't capture every single thought and apply it to all 365 daily lessons, I can remember there's more going on behind the veil. I'm to trust in it, because I can't explain these. I'm still finding them everywhere. All right. What my highly individualized curriculum looks like on some days. And it took me a long time, all the spiritual communities, I got to do it like, this spiritual, I got to do this format. I got to, I'm exhausting myself. This is what my format looks like. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm frightened. But I got backup. And this isn't my backup. This is our backup. We all have backup. I don't just listen to the Course in Miracles. I listen to all sorts of religious, not religious, sometimes religious, spiritual uplifting testimonies. Things that can't be explained rationally or logically, but yet are out of the time-space parameters. Miracle stories. Anita Morijane. What doctor can explain that? What doctor can explain Calico's remission? They can't. So I want to listen to Anita Morijane, and I want to listen to Calico. I have my full attention.
Kenneth, I I'm living in sort of a temporary situation, and I wasn't able to bring, a lot of belongings with me. And what I've been able to experience is, um, I've just randomly had been blessed people bringing me like literally like bags of clothes, socks, shirt, I mean, clothing. And um, my friend took me to the thrift store the other day to kind of celebrate, you know, life. And we're in the thrift store, and it's a pretty heavy day. It was. And um, I'm just enjoying, her company. And she's so generous and so kind. And I'm picking out a few things. And she looks down and she saw something that caught her eye. And she picked it up, and it was a little button, like a pin on button that you would put on your shirt. And she didn't even really look at it. And she just handed it to me. And she goes, "This is for you." And I looked at the little button, and it's a purple button, and it says, "Nevertheless, she persisted." And it was a message from Spirit. And it was on the floor at Goodwill. And the randomness of everything for me to even be there. You find the hairband, and I have found some hairbands, and I'm also seeing these little glimpses where we're shown that we're being supported, and we're being comforted, and we're being cared for, you know? I have more clothes right now than I've ever had in my life. And I'm kind of, I mean, it's like the blessings are all right there. Nevertheless, she persisted. Yeah.
Our only job is to take notice.
Yeah.
A lot of Course in Miracles students, have, bash beliefs,
Mm,
but beliefs are prerequisites of faith,
mm,
and we have to believe before we can. In the 12 steps, it said we came, and then we came to, and I have to believe before I can. Along with all of this wonderful stuff that I'm sharing, I'm also getting my own life review right now, and it makes me want to heave. All the more to state, do not take my eye off Jay. Do not take my eye off him. Do not try and look at it on my own. Him and I will look at it together in the movie theater. It's the same as he said, pray 7 times 70. Do not take your eye off him. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We got 2 minutes left. Anybody want to wrap this up? I have a name for it. I talked the whole time, but that's fine. Mark wants to go pick out a hot water heater, so I got to go. Thank you for showing up.
I've come to realize that it's really so simple. I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. What am I choosing for myself right now? The script is playing. I can't fix anything. I can't change anything. I, as the decision maker, get to choose. So when I find myself not at peace, I get to ask, what am I choosing for myself right now? And I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. One of the very early lessons is I could see peace instead of this. Because it's just a decision. It's a simple decision. And don't confuse simple with easy. There's nothing easy about this. But it really is that simple. What am I choosing for myself right now?
And the good news about that, Jody, is that's the only decision to ever make. One choice to make. Thank you both. Thank you, Marcy, and thank you, Jody, for keeping me psychiatrically sober for one more day. This is Kenneth Price on Sunday, November 26th. I mostly talked for the last hour with Jody and Marcy, but that's fine with me. That's say a prayer, and what needs to come out needs to come out. I love you both. Thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments below and join us on a Sunday at 9 Pacific time, 12 Eastern time. Till then, see you next week. God bless, and may the force be with you. Bye.